I'm Ian. I am the British Banknote Seller, and my website is britishbanknoteseller.co.uk. I'm a member of the International Banknote Society, membership number 11009. Every British banknote has a reference. For English notes, this book, English Paper Money, is the one to buy and to use. For Scottish notes, it's the 2-volume Paper Money of Scotland, which outlines in every detail and references every single Scottish note that ever existed. Collecting banknotes is a great hobby and an interest, but it is dangerous, as British banknotes can become almost addictive. But at times it's good to live dangerously. But the addiction is certainly not as serious as alcohol or cigarettes. I have 5 banknotes to show you, which give an insight into why collecting these notes can be both appealing and interesting. The first note is this one here. It is dated the 7th of December 1811. It's over 200 years old. And although quite fragile, it's a very, very interesting and rare banknote. The reference is B201B. At this time in history, when the note was produced, the Duke of Wellington was fighting in Spain and Portugal in the Peninsular War. And the pound note equivalent value today would be around £80. And if you were to take it to the Bank of England, they would give you £1, the face value. But for the banknote collector, the note is worth around about £400. So even in this fragile condition, this old note is worth this amount of money. It's a lovely note to enhance any British collection. This note here, a £50 Catton's note, is a B231. And this is a fascinating note because it is a forgery. And it was produced by Jewish prisoners in Sachsenhausen concentration camp between the years 1943 and 1944. The Germans wanted to use forged notes to fund espionage in Turkey and also to buy products to support the war effort in Germany. And so 132 Jewish prisoners under the command of an officer, Bernard Kruger, was set to produce Bank of England white notes that could be used for this purpose. A lot of these notes were destroyed after the war, but some have survived. And they're named after the German officer who was in charge of the production. They're called Operation Bernard notes. And this £50 note is now quite rare, and although a forgery, it is worth around £200 today. It's a lovely note. And just to tell you that all the Jewish prisoners survived the war, as did Bernard Kruger. The third note is this note here that was produced in 1957. This is my favourite English banknote, and the reason why is I think the design of the helmeted Britannia with the lion and key in the reverse is absolutely magnificent. And to make matters even more interesting for the banknote collector, the serial number begins with the prefix A01, which means it was one of the first to be produced. And as a first run, it's what I call a holy grail banknote. It's very, very rare, and in this condition is worth around £400. It's one of my favourites. Beautiful note. This note here is a 10 shilling note that is familiar, I would suspect, to many people. The old 10 bob notes. They were produced by the billions in the 60s and 70s. And a lot of us would have a 10 bob note in our pocket as pocket money, and then as in our pay slips as well. There are many of them still around, and you see a lot offered on eBay, but this one here is also first run with the prefix A01N and is worth around £200. It's an absolutely beautiful note. Interestingly, Scottish banks never produced any 10 shilling notes. And that's why we move on to Scotland now. And the final note I want to show you is again one of my favourites. Is this note here. It's the North of Scotland Bank, which was founded in 1836 in Aberdeen and lasted for over 100 years until it was absorbed into the Midland Bank. But this banknote was produced on the 1st of July 1940, and it's the last £100 note to be produced by the North of Scotland Bank. And today it is worth around about £1,200, £1,200. It's a wonderful note, and again it would be a great addition to any banknote collection. Have a look at my website to see the notes listed for sale. Prices vary from a few pounds to over £1,000. And just let me say finally, collecting banknotes is a great hobby and I love it, but not as much as I love my wife.